Hey guys, I want to welcome you back to another episode of Pistons Talk Podcast post-game show. Just got done working, watching this Pistons Magic game. We're going to get into quarter notes, and then after we're done with these quarter notes, we'll be taking a look at the box score, the team stats, and open up the show to any comments, questions, overall thoughts with tonight's Pistons Magic game. So let's get straight into it. Don't want to waste too much of your guys' time. Still no Jaden Ivey, no Marcus Sasser. Karis LeVert came back, which huge because we really needed a secondary ball handler. The start in this first quarter, Pistons were 1 for 10 really early on. JB Bickerstaff had to sub out Duncan Robinson because very early on in this game, he just wasn't shooting, was very hesitant in the first quarter. Karis comes in, they start scoring a little bit more, but the Magic were just running out in transition. The Pistons have been one of the worst teams in the NBA this season. First quarter teams, I should say. I think they're like 29th right now in the NBA. Just they start off so slow. And the Magic dropped 36 points in this first quarter. Pistons dropped 29. So that was the end of the first quarter score, 36-29. Coming out of the second or first quarter, I should say, excuse me. Cade and Stu's connection found them plenty of times, but the Pistons really just couldn't keep Paulo out of the paint. A lot of their wings, whether it was Franz, they just kept attacking the Pistons in the paint. And this was a game where, again, when we're going to be looking at the team stats, over 50 fouls for both teams. I don't really know what's going on in the NBA right now, but there's been just an abundance of foul calls. I don't know if the referees are still in preseason form or whatever it may be, but the Pistons were kind of slow to keep them out of the paint. And in the second quarter, they just kind of scrapped to really get back into this game. Towards the end of the second, they were making stops, they were running in transition, and Asar hit a corner three very late in the second quarter to give them a 1-point lead going into halftime. Coming out of halftime, Cade Cunningham and the Detroit Pistons came out really aggressive. I felt like once Cade got punched, I shouldn't say punched. He got, inadvertently poked in the eye by Jalen Suggs. He came out really aggressive. And the rest of the team just kind of followed his lead. And that was the best quarter in this game. They did have a 16-point lead, but it did dwindle down as the Magic got to the free throw line a little bit towards the end of it. But it was 101-92 to end the third quarter. And going into the fourth, they just had their foot on the gas. Cade, I felt like once he got in his bag, whether it was, getting to the free throw line, the and ones, the Magic just did not have an answer for him whatsoever. And the rest of the fourth, whether it was Javonte Green hitting threes, Duncan Robinson hit a really nice fall away three. This was a very solid win by the Pistons that do improve to 3-2 with the final score of 135-116. Cade Cunningham and Tobias Harris were huge tonight, but we do want to kind of look at this box score if you guys haven't seen it yet. So I'm going to put it on the screen if you guys are watching live right now. You guys can just see, like, if we're looking at this box score, Tobias Harris was huge tonight, 30 minutes, had 23 points, 6 out of 6 from the free throw line, 8 out of 13 from the field. Tobias was really huge. And him and Paulo were talking back and forth. They were jawing at each other. They're talking shit. Love to see that by Tobias Harris. Duncan Robinson had a much better game. He had 15 points. He was a plus 22 in this one. 4 out of 6 from three. Now, his first quarter was really bad. He was really hesitant. I don't know if the coaching staff talked to him or what happened, but he started making his shots, and it's good when your starting shooting guard can at least get you 15 points. I think you have a pretty good shot of winning the basketball game with the starting lineup. JD had another productive game. He had 21 points, 12 rebounds, and a block shot. So shout out to JD. Got to the free throw line again. 11 out of 12 from the free throw line. He just had a game recently where he got to the free throw line 12 times. So he's getting hacked. And if you're making your free throws at that type of clip, you could easily have 18 to 20 points every night. Cade Cunningham, 30 points tonight, 10 assists, 6 rebounds. And look at that, you guys. 0 turnovers. No turnovers for Cade Cunningham in this one. You love to see it. Asar Thompson, flu game. I'm joking. He was actually questionable in tonight's game. There was a lot of media members were reporting that, he was suffering through an illness. He had a double-double in this one, 12 points, 11 rebounds, 6 assists, only had 1 turnover. That's really good for the amount of times that he does have the ball in his hand. And you look at your starting 5, everyone was in double figures. So that's why the Detroit Pistons were able to drop 130 on the Orlando Magic. Isaiah Stewart did his thing. He had 9 points, 5 rebounds, 2 block shots. He did fall out of the game, which was a really whack foul call. Him and Wendell Carter were kind of locked arms, and the officials called it like a double foul, and they both left the game. I'm sure we'll get into the officiating later in this podcast. It was really bad, not just for the Pistons, but for both sides. Ryan Holland had 10 points, 4 out of 8 from the field, 2 out of 5 from 3. He's getting more confident with that 3-point shot, hit a couple of corner threes, so you love to see that. Love to see that development from Ryan Holland. Javonte Green, big 17 minutes off the bench. He had 9 points, 3 out of 4 from 3. Now, Javonte Green is not known as a 3-point shooter, but he gave the Pistons some really good minutes tonight. And you had Karis LeVert. Obviously, the box score isn't that impressive. He is coming off an injury. He had 4 points, 2 rebounds, looks like 2 assists. So, hey, it is what it is for Karis LeVert. It is good to have him back, though, in the starting lineup. The Pistons really did miss, I think, the secondary ball handling that he does provide in this one. I do want to get into the team stats if you guys are interested in that. So let me put that on the screen for you guys real quick and go over this. So if we look at the Pistons, they shot over 49.5% from the field, much improved from missing 19 straight shots against the Cleveland Cavaliers in the last game. 13 out of 32 from 3, so 40.6%. That's at the free throw line. Quite a bit. Only missed 4 free throws, which is huge. Capitalized on the rebounding. They out-rebounded the Magic by 3. 29 assists tonight. That's why the score was so high and why guys were in double figures. The turnovers are much improved. Only had 14 tonight. Had 26 last game. I could live with 10 turnovers tonight. You can keep it under 10. I think you have a pretty good opportunity to win each and every game. Fast break points, for the Pistons. They had 15 in this one. Points in the paint. Look at that, you guys. 64 points in the paint by the Detroit Pistons. The fouls were ridiculous. As you guys can see, 27 fouls on the Magic, 28 fouls with the Pistons, and 3 technical fouls with Detroit. I think Cade had one. Luke Walton had one, which I was kind of confused about. And Duncan Robinson got one for flopping. Wild. It was just a really poorly officiated game. I do want to open up the show, though, you guys, with this post-game podcast. If you have any questions, comments, overall thoughts, I am going through the comments right now if you're watching live on YouTube right now. So give me a second to kind of go through these, and we can kind of start this Q&A section of the podcast. And we're going to get into it right now. I see a couple of great comments that I want to get to. AFB, no turnovers by Cade was big time. Tobias showed up. Big 2. He sure doesn't seem to like Paolo. No. Him and Paolo were John when he was at the free throw line. It seems like every time the Pistons play the Magic, Paolo jaws. If you guys remember last year, Isaiah Stewart and him got into it in Orlando. This is a Magic team that was kind of known for its defense. I don't know if you guys caught our pregame show with Orlando Magic HQ. He kind of touched that, like, defensively, the Magic aren't the same team as they were last year because they're trying to run more in transition. They're trying to play faster, and I think that kind of had a negative effect tonight because the Pistons, after the first quarter and, kind of getting into the second quarter, midway through the second, going into the third, going into the fourth, like they were making stops. The Magic kind of looked gassed offensively. They weren't really getting into their sets from my vantage point, from my viewpoint. But yeah, no turnovers by Cade is huge considering how much he does have the ball in his hands. And Tobias stepped up big time. I don't know if Tobias is still a little salty about getting traded by the Magic, but it kind of seems like every time he does play the Magic, AFB, he likes to go off. And anytime you can get 20 points out of Tobias Harris, I think is a plus. Tobias is good for a good 14-6 on most nights. He got 23 tonight, and he was really efficient. Talk shit. I absolutely love that for Tobias Harris. Dante has a comment. It says it's an easy game when guys make their shots. Rough first quarter, but quick recovery. When guys are hitting shots, you can't double Cade. Duren is driving on both of their bigs, and drawing fouls also helped. Yeah, it was like offensively after that first quarter, it was a little shaky. They kind of got in the rhythm. They got a little bit more comfortable, I thought. They kind of took the momentum from Orlando and got more comfortable. And I think it was just the poked eye game. Once Jalen Suggs poked Cade in the eye, he kind of got more aggressive, got pissed, and took over. I've always said with Cade, and we'll get back to the Q&A segment in a minute. He defers so much. Sometimes me as a Piston fan, selfishly, I wish he would be more aggressive at times where he's just looking to score the basketball. But I'm not complaining. It's just something that I've seen where Cade always looks to get his teammates involved because he's so unselfish. I'd really like to see him just nights like tonight, like when you're feeling it, just take the ball to the basket, get to the free throw line, make those 3-point shots. But good win, good game from Cade, 30, 10, and 6. Love to see it. Douglas has a comment. The lack of turnovers, love to see. Point Asar isn't looking too bad. I figure by trade deadline, he'll be much better. The Point Asar thing, I think a lot of us in the preseason, we were like, this might not work out. But I think as he's gotten more comfortable and he gets more reps each and every game, he's getting more confident. And I know we miss Jaden Ivey, but I think his injury, in my opinion, this is just a take I have. It's kind of a blessing in disguise because when Ivy does come back, Asar Thompson is taking those secondary ball handler reps right now, right? So Asar's getting more comfortable kind of, playing the shooting guard position, bringing the ball up the court. He was playing backup point guard when Cade was resting on the bench. I think that's better for Asar's development long term, in my personal opinion, of him kind of initiating the offense, playing that Point Asar, like he did mention. Douglas, he looked really good. Only had one turnover. He's getting more confident each game, and double machine again tonight. So I love it. Pistons sicko. This is probably my favorite comment of the post-game podcast so far. The inflation in the economy are bad when one foul from last year is worth 3 fouls this year. See, I thought it was just me sometimes when I'm watching these games. I thought maybe I'm being a little bit reactionary. Maybe, it's just a thing where maybe I'm crashing out, right? But when the broadcast said 55 fouls is a lot, and then the Houston game we had over 50 fouls, these officials need to be investigated. I'm just saying, man, like 50 fouls and we're 5 games into a regular season. You should, be a little bit more confident, more comfortable, officiating the game. No, I'm not up here saying that the Pistons didn't foul the Magic. I thought they did. There were a couple of them where they were ticky-tacky. It's like, come on, man, that's not really a foul. Just let them play. But I'm glad I'm not the only one that is watching this game and like, dude, like these officials, these fouls are bad. Appreciate the comment, Pistons sicko. Really do. Devon, what up, Devon? Pistons will go to the final sooner than later. I can see it. Ooh, spicy hot take. I love it, Devon. I love it. I still think the Pistons are a piece away. And I think they can get there easier because they have draft capital and they have young talent. Now, it just depends what Trajan Langdon and this front office want to do long term, right? He's kind of touched on that he's still evaluating, he's still seeing what this team needs. And when you look at the Pistons cap space, you look at their books. I know we're kind of going off topic with this comment from Devon, but I think the Pistons are in a position where they have draft capital. They don't really have any long-term money on their books outside of Cade and Stu. They have guys on 1-2 year deals. They have a lot of flexibility, and they have contracts now that can easily stack up to 30, $40 million to trade for, said star or, a piece. Maybe it's more of a consistent scorer in the back core or maybe in the front core. I think if you're just looking at the Pistons long term, you're looking at their cap sheet, you're looking at Cade Cunningham and how he's developing. You're looking at Jalen Duren getting to the free throw line more consistently. Asar Thompson is getting more confident each game. Ron Holland's development is really exciting. Like, if you're a Piston fan, you should be really excited because, like, if we look back from last year at this time, we were 0-5. We're 3-2. We weren't a 500 basketball club, you guys, until December of last year. It's October 29th. So, yes, the losses this year have been bad. The loss to the Bulls was really bad. The loss to the Cavs was really bad. But in the wins against the Rockets, against the Celtics, against the Magic, they've looked good. Now, is it perfect? No. I think that I would like to evaluate this team a little bit more, just from a fan perspective. I think they are very young, very intriguing. I think there are levels to get to that, contender level when you're in the same conversations with New York, with Cleveland in the East. You also have to remember, like, Tyrese Halliburton will be coming back next year. Jason Tatum will be coming back next year. Like, how are they going to look? I think the Pistons can definitely trade for a star if they want to, but we're just going to have to wait and see how this season does progress. But from last year, this time, this year, this time, it's improved. We're a 500 basketball club. You guys can go look. Like, we were a 500 basketball club until, like, I think late December, because we just started off really slow. I was there, man. Those refs are terrible. Well, that is good to hear. I thought it was just me. I really did, just watching this game. Sometimes I just kind of blame myself when I'm watching these games because my opinion isn't always like your guys, and you guys let me know when I'm crashing out on some stuff. But I do appreciate you guys keeping it 100 with me. Douglas, I love our guy JD, but 5 turnovers is unacceptable. Love the free throws though. I feel like some of JD's turnovers, Douglas, if he could have it back, he definitely could watch the film and where he can get better. I do think when they are in sets, when they're trying to run the ball through JD in DHO or dribble handoff sets, he gets a little careless at times with the ball where he'll just kind of hand it off, or he'll kind of do like these fancy, like, bounce, no look passes where it's been a turnover a couple of times. He can get way more crisp, I think, in dribble handoff situations with Cade, with Duncan, with the SAR. But we're 5 games in. I really think you don't see a team. Whoop, my mic almost fell. This mic stand's really bad. Sorry about that, you guys. I really feel like teams don't really hit their stride until, like, after Christmas, where they know the plays, new players that are coming in. Like, we had Duncan and Karras. Oh man, they can get a little bit more comfortable. I was really hard on Duncan. I've been really hard on Duncan. I just want him to just kind of shoot that shit personally. Excuse my language, but I don't want him to be so hesitant. I want him just to let it fly. Just let it fly. And, like, if you make it, cool. If you don't make it, I'm not going to crash out. As long as you're taking those shots, I'm good with it. Get to a couple of more comments and questions. Rocky, both losses were unacceptable, and we were thoroughly outplayed by Orlando in the first half. I still don't know how we walked away with the lead, but that's when I knew we'd win. I would say for the first quarter, in maybe like 6.5 minutes of the second quarter, it looked like Orlando was going to win this, Rocky. I felt like they woke up coming out of halftime. They were much more aggressive. The ball movement was much better. Felt like the Pistons were playing with way more energy coming out of halftime and in the fourth quarter. It did slip a little bit towards the end of the third because Orlando was getting to the free throw line much more, in my opinion. But again, they'll get more consistent. They'll, I think, lock in a little bit more as the season does go on. The fact that they're 3-2, obviously, this could be a situation where maybe they don't even have 3 wins. They could be like Orlando. Orlando just lost their 3rd straight game. Basketball is a very funny sport. I mean, you can play like crap and still win. You can play for 24 minutes and still win if the team just isn't having a good night like Orlando was. But hey, I'll take it. A win's a win at this point. It really is. Get to a couple more comments and questions. I'm just kind of going through these comments with you guys. To piggyback off that JD take regarding his turnovers, those occur because he's used to Beasley and Tim Hardaway Jr. catching those dribble handoffs. But as the season goes on, it will get cleaned up. Yeah, I mean, if you watch the tape with Jalen Duren last year, Jay Hart, Beasley and Tim Hardaway would let it fly regardless. They really didn't care. And I think that's what I loved about them. Beasley would shoot 8, 9 threes a game, and he'd make like 4 of them, right? With Duncan, Duncan is a very good 3-point shooter, but he's hesitant sometimes, and he'll pass the ball back out at the top of the key, and that does turn into a turnover. I think once Duncan and Duren work together more and build their chemistry, I think those turnovers will go down because Duren, for the most part, hasn't really been a high turnover center. He does have the ball in his hands quite a bit, and they're asking a lot of him to put the ball on the floor. He's a very big center. JD talked about it on the post game that he doesn't think there's too many centers in the NBA that can, match his physicality. Getting to the free throw line as much as he did, I think, is a really great sign for his development and how he can improve as a low post player and getting to the free throw line. But I think the turnovers will go down with this team, not just Jalen Duren, because I don't mean to kind of like point him out. But I think collectively, when we look at these first 5 games, there's a lot of data that we have, and there's stuff that they can clean up. There's 100% stuff they can clean up. We're not up here saying that this team is perfect, that they're going to win the NBA championship this year. But I'm happy with being 3-2 right now. I'm happy that they are coming in a little bit more aggressive out of halftime. I'd like them to come out with that same type of energy in the first quarter. They did it against the Cavs for about 5 minutes, and then that game just kind of completely went off the rails. But I honestly think, like, we're 5 games in. There's a lot of stuff that they can clean up. This isn't like a question that we're trying to, pick on JD. I think collectively this team needs to do a better job of taking care of the ball. 14 turnovers isn't bad. It's much improved from 26, the game they had against Cleveland. But hey, man, we're only 5 games in. It's still October. I don't even think they've played their best brand of basketball yet. I think they can improve much more. And if you guys remember, like, they weren't really playing their best brand of basketball until like January, February, where they were taking care of the basketball. They were getting out to great starts. And you got new guys that you're trying to get familiar with JB Bickerstaff's system, Cade, and still don't have Jaden Ivey. I'm really interested to see like how Jaden Ivey, looks with everyone out there. I think JD, Cade, Asar, and Tobias, I think they played less than 20 minutes together last season. So that's chemistry that they got to build together. So there's a lot of positives that we can take away with this team. But hey, man, I'm not saying this team's perfect. I think they can get better defensively. I think they can get better in terms of executing out of the half court. But I will answer a couple of more questions and comments with you guys. we'll take one from Rocky, since he's always in these live chats. Appreciate Rocky. Sydney said something that I thought was going on in the first half. He said they weren't communicating on pick and rolls, Ron especially, because we kept having two guys going with the ball handler. I did hear Sydney say that they weren't communicating defensively. And I think he was right. There have been times this season that we're not just picking on this game, but in particular, you can kind of hear them on the floor talking. I feel like they're not talking as much this year. They did communicate much better, I thought, in the third quarter and closed it out in the fourth. But that was a talking point last year, and you could hear it multiple times, whether it was Beasley, whether it was Tobias, or even Cade for that matter, communicating. Um, and I think that's something that they will work out. JB is really big on communication. He's always talking in, post-game press conferences about, communicating, being there for your guy. But Sydney did mention that. I did hear that interview as well. But uh, again, I think we will iron out a lot of the issues that we do have throughout the season. I mean, we could be up here 0-5 and be like crashing out and like be really upset, but we're 3-2 in 5 games played, which, hey, I'm happy with. I think there are things that we can improve on throughout the season. But I do want to wrap up this post game podcast with you guys. Appreciate you, coming on at 11 o'clock at night, watching me. So, podcast for the rest of the week. Let's see what we got. We have a podcast on Saturday morning. Doing one with Wes Davenport from the Pin Down Detroit Bad Boys. Also, probably know Wes from the Pistons Pulse podcast. Does a lot of stuff behind the scenes with Bryson Omari. So we're going to be having Wes on the show Saturday morning. Still trying to iron out details with a pregame show with the Dallas Mavericks reporter. If we can't get a pregame show, there just won't be one. But there could be one within the next couple of days or so. We'll talk to a Mavericks reporter, like we've been kind of doing these pregame and postgame shows for you guys, but did want to kind of give you guys an update there on that end. So Saturday morning for sure, we'll be talking with Wes at 11 a.m. And we're still trying to see if we're going to be doing a pregame show with a Dallas Mavericks reporter, but I appreciate you guys watching me twice a day throughout the season. Talk to you guys later. Have a great night. And as always, go Pistons. Peace.